Good evening, sir.
Good evening. വിജയോ
എന്തുണ്ട് വിശേഷമൊക്കെ?
ഞാൻ വെച്ച് എന്താ തുടങ്ങാത്തതെന്ന് ഇങ്ങനെ. ഹിമാദ്രി.
ഹരീഷ് ചേട്ടാ, all the best.
Oh, thank you so much.
എന്താ ബെന്നി ഹരീഷ് ചേട്ടാന്നാ?
അങ്ങനെയാണല്ലോ മറ്റേ അങ്ങനെയല്ലേ രാംകുമാർ മേനോൻ പറഞ്ഞ് ശീലിപ്പിച്ചാണ്, അതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും.
ഹിമാദ്രി.
ഞാനൊന്ന് ഷെയർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കട്ടെ. രാകേഷ് ഒന്ന് ജസ്റ്റ് ഒന്നൊരു വിസിബിൾ ആണോ?
ക്ലിയർ ആണ്.
ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്, ചാറ്റ് എടുക്കാൻ എന്താ വഴി എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഞാൻ ഒന്ന് ചോദിച്ചത്.
മോളിൽ നോക്കി നോക്കൂ, എക്സിറ്റ് ഫുൾ സ്ക്രീൻ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്.
എക്സിറ്റ് ഫുൾ സ്ക്രീൻ നോക്കിയാൽ മതി.
മോളിലുണ്ടാവും.
ഇവിടെ ഒരു മ്യൂട്ട്, സ്റ്റോപ്പ് വീഡിയോ, പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസ്, ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്, മോറിലാണ്. ഹൈഡ് വീഡിയോ പാനൽ ഇല്ലാതെ എനിക്കിതിൽ കണ്ടില്ല. ഇവിടെ വീഡിയോ നോക്കട്ടെ. ചൂസ് എ വിർച്വൽ ബാക്ക്ഗ്രൗണ്ട്, വീഡിയോ സെറ്റിംഗ്, സെലക്ട് ക്യാമറ, ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്, ചാറ്റ് എടുത്താൽ കിട്ടൂല. അതൊരു കുഴപ്പം, നടുവിൽ വന്ന് കിടക്കും. അതാണ് കുഴപ്പം.
പിന്നെ മൂവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല.
വരുമ്പോൾ അത് ഈ അറ്റത്തേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുപോയാലോ? ലെഫ്റ്റ് കോർണറിലേക്ക്.
ലെഫ്റ്റ് കോർണറിലേ കൊണ്ടുപോകും.
അതല്ലേ നല്ലത്. ആ സാധനം വലിയ കുഴപ്പമില്ലല്ലോ അല്ലേ? പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ സ്ക്രീൻ വരുമ്പോൾ വിസിബിലിറ്റി പ്രശ്നം വരില്ലേ? അതങ്ങനെ അവിടെ കിടക്കൂല്ല എൻ്റെ കയ്യില്. കുഴപ്പമില്ല, എന്നാലും വലിയ പ്രശ്നമില്ല. അത് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ആവശ്യമില്ലാത്തപ്പോൾ ചെയ്യാം, പിന്നെ ആവശ്യമില്ലാത്തപ്പോൾ അല്ലേ?
പക്ഷേ ആൾക്കാർ
വേറെ ഓപ്ഷൻ ഉണ്ട്.
ഹരീഷ് വന്നു തുടങ്ങിയ ആൾക്കാർ അതുകൊണ്ട് സ്ലൈഡ്സ് കാണിക്കണ്ട.
ശരി.
ഹരീഷ് സാർ, ഒരു കാര്യം ചെയ്യാം. വേണമെങ്കിലേ മൊബൈലില് ലോഗിൻ ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചാല് ചാറ്റ് അതിൽ നോക്കാം. ബെന്നി സാർ, ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ അല്ലെ? ക്ലിയർ അല്ലേ?
ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് ക്ലിയർ അല്ലേ? എന്റെ സൗണ്ട് കുഴപ്പമൊന്നുമില്ലല്ലോ അല്ലേ?
കുഴപ്പമില്ല.
ഹലോ. ശരി മനസ്സിലായി. ശരി, ഓക്കെ മനസ്സിലായി.
Hi Harish.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Wish you all the best for a great.
Thank you so much.
Hi Subbu.
Vamanji, ഇത് ശരിയല്ല വാമൻജി.
കട്ടൻ ചായ ഉണ്ട്.
പിന്നെ എന്താണ് സാപ്പിടുന്നത്?
കട്ടൻ ചായ, ബിസ്ക്കറ്റ്.
അത്ര ഇതാണ്. അവിടെ ബെന്നി നോക്ക് സാറേ. ബെന്നി.
ബെന്നി. നമസ്കാരം.
Hi, Himadri. Himadri is online?
Yes, he is online.
Oh. You're there?
Can
Who, myself?
sharing.
Are you
You're,
there?
ask, you're asking me to, Subramanian sir?
Yeah.
I just kept that mobile on just to see the chats because I'm not able to see it here on the chat. That is,
Oh, okay.
it is only in the
Sorry,
side.
sir, we can stop sharing the screen. We can open it later.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Benny Jain?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Benny.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Harish.
Thank you so much.
You're looking very cheerful today, Harish.
Thank you so much. Need to be so, right, sir?
I'm sure you're going to do a magnificent job today.
Thank you so much.
Only job.
Real color, huh?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening.
Harish is excited. Huh?
Himadri, sir. Himadri, sir. Good evening.
Hi, Harish. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Madhuri.
How are you, sir?
Is that a real bookcase or is that another one of Rakesh's inventions? Himadri, behind you?
This is a picture of my bookcase.
Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. I can see the book behind you. It's a fantastic book, Himadri. You have to read that.
You quoted from the book.
Yes. Actually, it gives a fantastic history. It's basically Joshua, his author is Noah.
Noah.
He's basically a historian. And he PhD in history. He made a very good historical study with sociology. That's a good one. You could see that.
It's a great Homo Deus.
I've noticed that afternoon meetings, people come, say around 4, 4:10, 4:15, 4:20. Morning meetings, they're there at 11 o'clock itself.
I've gone for a nap.
must be nap. Or must be the wife saying, wait for your cup of coffee. I didn't have to wait for my wife. I've got mine.
So after a very hearty morning and afternoon dose, people eat and then they, doze off to digest what has served to them. So take a while.
NP sir is here.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. National President.
Thank you, Ramesh sir.
Good afternoon.
Subramanian sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Harish.
Good afternoon.
Harish.
Oh, Harish sir.
Good afternoon.
Looks so
Good
good.
afternoon.
In the
Remodeta.
silence.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Moji,
Very good afternoon, sir. Yeah.
Harish Eta, all the best.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Rakesh,
Yes, sir.
virtual background stock exhausted. What happened?
This this background is good entry. This is the reality. Subbu sir, chai kudicho?
ഇല്ലേ സാറേ ഇനി തന്നെ
Yes, sir.
4:30 ആകുമ്പോൾ ചായ കുടിക്കാം നമുക്ക്.
4:30. Okay, done.
4:30 നമുക്ക് ഒരു ചായ ഒരു കടി. ശരി തന്നെ സാർ.
Manji,
Ah.
what immunity drink you are
Hi,
drinking?
good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, Raman, good afternoon.
Subbu?
Yes, sir.
Nice, sir.
Manju? Keri. Online.
Siddiq, why the music?
I'm here, sir.
Siddiq is running away. He is in his car.
He's always inside the car.
But Himadri thinks it's a different car every day.
How, sir?
I don't know. That's what Himadri's observation was. He said it looks like a different car every day.
He has a different passenger every day. He is not showing you the other seat.
The number of cars will not reach up to 192.
No, but I lost count a long time back.
Ramesh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Very good. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Hey,
Raju,
Rajat.
sir.
வணக்கம்.
Good evening. Good evening. Your cup of tea I saw just now.
Thank you.
ராஜா சார் கூப்பிட்டீங்களோ?
This morning, yes.
Yes.
Nirmal bhai,
Hi,
good
sir.
evening.
Nirmal bhai, good evening, sir.
Evening.
Sir,
Good evening.
phone sir. கூப்பிடுறேன் சார்.
Siddiq is inside the car. Siddiq. Subbu's coffee is ready.
Good evening, Nirmal sir.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Good
evening.
Nirmal
evening.
bhai, good evening, Kim Show.
Good evening. Good evening. What a colorful attire for you, Nirmal.
I knew this comment was going to come. Years back, I completed one of my webinars with a client company, and I came straight on this.
Rachel. So well.
Somebody
Smart.
would immediately.
So going for a party, Nirmal bhai?
Arey, nahi, boss. I learned it from you. You started the program with a black jacket, no? The coating.
Yes.
But I must follow you. So, Harish, all set?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. God bless. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
ఆడ వచ్చేస్తుంది.
Yogesh ji, good evening.
No ball.
Ha ha ha.
Rakesh, technical consultant. There are some queries regarding this. Zoom is not a safe platform. Many forwards are also saying, some people are messaging me. Do you know anything technically about that?
That is, a lot of people are hacking into Zoom and sending in some difficult videos while the webinar is on. So that is the only safety catch that we need to figure out.
I hope Zoom is not Corona unsafe.
The fact is that anywhere, anytime, if there are more number of people than expected, there is a chance of getting hacked. So it's there, but still we won't have any issues because we are using webinar and we are not giving the panelist invitation to anybody. If any hacker is going to come as a participant, it's not going to affect us. we are not going to let them in or show their video or access any files.
Okay. Thank you, Rakesh.
And Mr. President, because of that, only 2 days before, Zoom has introduced that password method.
The Facebook integration has ended.
Yeah, and Facebook integration, as Himadri said, was Snap. So they are taking a lot of steps to see that Zoom has been very effective.
Harish.
Hello.
Hi, Harish.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Wishing you
Hey, Ratnam.
Harish, have you checked your interface with the screen share? Is it all right?
Yes, I have checked it, sir.
Great. Very good.
Ratnam sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Please, sir. That's
Good
go
evening,
mute.
sir. Starbucks coffee. Don't tempt, sir.
very good evening, Ratnam sir, with the tea cup.
The Starbucks, the ingredients, well.
Starbucks with coffee day coffee.
Siddiq sir, ready le. Siddiq sir, ready le. Siddiq sir. Okay. National President, with your permission, let's go mute. Hello.
Yeah.
So good evening, JCI India. We are about to begin the second webinar of the webinar series of JCI India. This is JCI Senator Rakesh Nair, the technical consultant for JCI India webinar series. So please feel free to post your questions in Q&A box. And without further ado, let me invite the National Director Training to welcome and to introduce the faculty of the day.
Thank you, Rakesh Nair. Most respectful President of JCI India, a very down-to-earth leader, bridge the gap leader, National President Senator Anisi Matthew sir, the moderator of this webinar series, past National President and Skill Development Committee Chairman, our own pride, Vamanji, my dear past National President, panelists, and the participants of this webinar series, Day 7, Session 2, Secretary General of JCI India, Benny, and the technical consultant, Rakesh Nair, and the entire participants and JCI members of JCI India. Good evening. On behalf of JCI India, I welcome you, National President Vamanji, and the entire panelists and the participant this webinar series, Day 7, Session 2. It is my great pleasure and privilege in front of you to introduce today's faculty, JC Harish Cochin. He was joined JCI Cochin in the year 2007 and became the national trainer in 2010. JCI presenter and trainer qualified in 2011. Outstanding speaker of JCI India in 2009. Devi Puraskar Award winner of the most outstanding trainer in 2015. Faculty of Entrepreneurs South in the last 3 years. President of JCI Cochin in 2011 and CGB member of Zone 20 for the last four years. By profession is a development officer with LIC for the last 28 years. He is one among the most youngest trainer of this webinar series, and he is the discovery of our own Vamanji. An outstanding, a proven trainer, is a very energetic and enthusiastic trainer. And the speciality of this trainer, among the 4 zones of Kerala this year, including zone 19, 20, 21, 22, this gentleman was the faculty of Law Officers Training Seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, with immense pleasure, let me introduce before you today's faculty, JCI Harish Cochin. Sir, the floor is to yours. Thank you.
Good evening. First of all, thank you, Siddiq, for that profusive introduction. It is indeed an incredible honor to be here in this platform. This is the 12th program and already 11 speakers have already come and enthralled the audience. We have got 6 more to come after this. To be part of this Elite 18 group itself is a great blessing for me. And for this particular opportunity, I naturally, to begin with, I have to pay my gratitude. I have to just tell my gratitude to the National President, JC Anish Matthew, for giving me this glorious opportunity. I know that Vallabhji is here, the leader of leaders, Vallabhji. I could see the picture over there. He was there. So it's always a pleasure that I have received so many opportunities in the past 8 or to 9 years in one way or the other. And JCI, I believe, has definitely been a turning point in my life. And all the participants, welcome to Think Right. Okay, let us just begin this way. I will just share the screen first and then we will begin. Okay, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Rakesh, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Perfect.
Albert Einstein used to visit Oxford University in the 30s and in the beginning of 40s to take class for the physics students over there. In one of the visits, what he did was he gave a test to all the senior physics students and he just walked out into the campus just for a stroll. An assistant professor accompanied him. And the assistant professor asked him a very pertinent question. Sir, I believe it was the same question paper that you gave to these very same audience or very same students last year. Why did you do that? And Einstein said, the questions remain the same, but the answers are different. If in 1940, they say that in 1 year, the answers are different, what would be the state of affairs now? We are in 2020. The world is moving at a very fast clip. There are changes everywhere. Technology has made our life easy and also it is reaching out to everyone. We are all here in this webinar training series and attending this program only because of the technological revolution that we have been able to really adapt. So friends, so what we can very well see is that things are changing very fast and we need to think right. What got us here will not take us there. That is very sure. If at all we have reached here now, it is only because of the thinking we had earlier. That thinking has taken us thus far. But if we have to have a glorious future, if we have to go into the uncertain world, we always say that the world is something called the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That kind of a world, if we have to go, we have to think right. There is no other way before us. I remember 2 days back, Nirmal Parekh ji was really mentioning about one particular area. And the area was this. Our thoughts, watch our thoughts, they decide our words. And the words will definitely go on to become actions. And the actions will take us to habits. And the habits will take us to character. And the character will take us to destiny. So if we take the first one, it is the thoughts. And the last one is basically destiny. Our destinies definitely will be determined by how we are going to think. There is no doubt about this. And my dear participants, let me just begin by asking you to do one very simple activity. The activity is this. Please remain in a mood, not thinking for 15 seconds. Not thinking at all for 15 seconds. Okay, if it is possible, if you have been able to completely not think at all, please type yes, otherwise put no. In the last 15 seconds, when I asked you to stop thinking, if you were able to 100% freeze and not think anything at all, put yes, otherwise put no. I am just looking at the chat box to see whether it is happening. no, no. And there is one person who has put yes over here, and I'm just looking for more answers. I just want to see, have you been able to do yes, no, 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 difficult, impossible, not possible, no, yes, no, 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 no. I'm just seeing a lot of no. I'm just seeing a lot of not possible. I'm seeing more of no and not possible and few S in between. Yes. Even those people who wrote S. My question is, I did not ask you to remain silent. Being silent is not thinking. Being silent is not equal to not thinking. Even when those 15 seconds, were you thinking about, okay, why this guy has asked us to stop thinking? How to stop thinking? That will not definitely take us. You would have realized that even in those 15 seconds, you were thinking whether we like it or not. My dear friends, whenever we are awake, we are always in the thinking. There is no way we can just get out of that. Okay. So let's move. Think right. If at all we think right only, we will be able to design our destiny for sure. And let me just start. And the first question on your way again, and that is, why do we think? If you have answers, can you please post it on? Why do we think? The chat box is on and you can just put your thoughts. Why do we think? Why do we think? Just natural? Why do we think? Or what is the purpose of thinking? I'm just waiting for answers to move forward, human mentality, to get solutions for our future goal. Because we alive, to perform something, because we think it's natural to live, because our brain is active, to do something, to act, planning. My goodness, we plan next, to execute, ideas to get, it's function of brain, to act, okay. We are alive, it's, okay, fine, good. I'm getting a lot of answers, thank you so much. I will just take you to this morning. I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke up. As soon as I woke up, the first thought that came to my mind, or rather the first question that came to my mind was, should I get up or just lazily lie for another half an hour? I decided, yes, I will wake up because I got a lot of things to do today. So the first thing that happened in the morning, as far as I am concerned, as soon as I got up, was a question came to my mind. And for that, I had to take a decision. The decision was to get up. So the question, decision, both things straight away happened as soon as I got up. I walked to the washroom. As I was brushing, as I was cleaning myself, I thought about something which my wife told the earlier day. That was yesterday. She said, we are running short of vegetables. Somehow you have to go and get me some vegetables in the morning. So what happened there? Memory recollection. Again, something related to thinking there happened. I just came out, had a cup of tea, and after that, yes, I decided to go and purchase vegetable. But I had another confusion. 3 options came to my mind. To walk all the way, that is 300 meters only. Can I walk? Number 2, should I take my scooter and go? Or the third question that came into my mind was whether I should take my car. First, I thought walking is not very advisable, because when we walk, we might encounter many people. This is Corona time, even though I will have a mask, but still there is a chance that I might have more people on the way, meet on the way. So better avoid that. So the first one was eliminated. The second one, scooter. Scooter I thought, but I thought anyway, I have to take a sanitizer. When I buy these things, it will be slightly difficult to keep. And finally, I went to gone with the option of car, and I went with it. So what did I do, my dear friends here? Elimination, reasoning. That is also another purpose for which we think. I just got out of my house, went through my street and got into the main road. As soon as I turned the main road, there was a police jeep over there. One policeman stopped my car and asked, where are you going? I just told him I have to buy vegetable. He said, are you really going for that? I said, you just see, I'm just wearing the normal casual dress. I will just come back in another 10 minutes. I will just buy and come. I had to solve a problem there. There was a problem in the form of a police officer asking me, where are you going? So problem solving, another kind of thinking that I had to do. I just went, purchased and came back. I attended today morning's program. When I attended the program, I got certain ideas. Is it right? Ideas. One of the purpose for which we do thinking is basically ideas. To put it very simply, every second, every minute, something or the other that happens in our brain as we think, we usually think for all these, my dear friends. And now, factors that influence our thinking. I'm just keeping my chat box on. Can you please put me, what are the factors that influence your thinking? I would like to have some answers. Come on. What are the factors that influence your thinking? Each and everyone think, what are the factors that influence? Mood. Very good. Somebody said mood. Mr. Prasad says mood. Okay, fine. Then our habits, environment. Okay, good. Your knowledge, needs, situation, surroundings, circumstances, emotions, surroundings. Okay, business, experience, what we observe, situations, previous, okay, fine. Present mood, surroundings, target in life, circumstances, knowledge, emotions, input, feeling, experience, okay, upbringing. Okay, very good. Upbringing, condition, past experience, mental state. Great, great. Okay, I got a lot of answers. Friends, first let me put the first 3 E's before you. The first E is nothing but environment. The environment in which I was born and brought up. My parents, my relatives with whom I played around in my childhood. The friends, the peers with whom I used to play and to go to the school. That all influences me. Was I born in a rich family or a middle class family or a poor family? It affects. So the environment in which I lived has influenced my thinking in the past. And now, where I am right now, with whom am I meeting, with JCs I am meeting, with good people I am together, I am interacting, that is influencing my thinking today. As I go forward, definitely the environment, when it keeps changing, that will change. For example, I was born and brought up in a very rural place in Kerala. And from there, I moved to Chennai. Soon after my graduation, my thought process changed. I started looking at the city differently. I started looking at the people differently. I started looking at the opportunities differently. There was an influence. So environment play a very important role. Number 2, education. What kind of an education I had? Do I continue to have the education? This is also a kind of education we were experiencing for the last few days. Some kind of an education we have. Education will broaden our thinking. It will open new horizons. So education is another factor that will influence. And the third E is experiences, the kind of experiences we had in our life. The successes will motivate you to go for more successes. And similarly, whenever we have failures or setbacks, those setbacks will teach you something, and that we will learn from them and we will just move forward. So the experiences with people, experiences with events, experiences of taking leadership positions, all these will. For example, me taking up the position of a leadership in 2011 of JCI Cochin, definitely that has made me a better leader, and my thinking today is getting influenced because of those leadership experience I had. So that is what. Now we have got other things. Newspapers influence us, videos influence us, TV influences us, social media influences. We have got a lot of trainings influences, even reading biographies. So we have got a lot of factors that will be influencing us. The kind of business we are in, the kind of competition we are in, all these things will definitely influence. These are all the basic stuff which we all know. From here, I think we need to really move forward. My dear friends, our program is going to be covering 4 areas. The first area is 5 thinking styles. And the second one will be barriers of thinking. Third, we will look at how to cultivate thinking. And the last one would be, we will look at how great leaders think. Thinking styles. So friends, there are 5 thinking styles. If you look at the internet, if you look at various books, you will see different names of thinking styles. I have just taken one from a book which I read, The Art of Thinking, and that was by Robert M. Bramson. It was a wonderful book. In that book, he speaks about 5 thinking styles, and especially in working atmosphere. As professionals, as business people, as employees, when we work with groups, when we work with managers, what is the kind of styles of thinking that we have? That is what the book emphasizes on. So let's just see. The first one is analytical thinkers. The first kind of thinkers is analytical kind of thinkers. Very easily, I think you would have already got ideas. They focus on facts and data. They focus on measuring and categorizing. They focus on paying attention to the details. They are thorough and accurate. There are certain jobs specifically for this. For example, if you really look at like this, how would you really look at it? Economists. Let us take Raghuram Rajan. Let us say Amartya Sen. Let us say Manmohan Singh. All these people, they will be always looking at the GDP. They will be looking at the growth. They will be looking at the various aspects of economics. They're looking at facts and data, measurements, and so on and so forth. So that really is, those kind of jobs will be analytical thinkers to a great extent. It is not only there. Business analytics, we all know now. If at all, what I purchase from Amazon, what I am looking in Snapdeal, all these things are being measured. And depending on my taste, I am getting the pop-ups. Similarly, what I even buy from stores, they are making a note of that, and they make sure that our styles and our buying patterns are analyzed. So that really happens everywhere in the business world also. It is not only there. In our own personal lives, we do analysis. I got 2 children. My elder girl is right now in Chennai and she is 20 years old. And I am thinking about maybe 5 years down the line, I will have to think about her marriage. So I have to think about our retirement planning. What are my savings right now? And what are the things I should save now? How can I just make sure that reasonable money is made? And all these I'm doing through an analysis. I'm just looking at things. So this is it. Let us take another example, that is cricket world. In Indian cricket team, there is a performance analyst coach, performance analyst. His name is, the job title is Indian team performance analyst. His name is Dhananjay. And Dhananjay's job is basically to watch each and every match, look at the history, look at the patterns, whether when we bat first, are we winning more? When we bat second, are we able to do it better? Each and every player, which side he is playing more, all kind of analysis he will be doing, and he will be helping the team as well as the individuals to move forward. So friends, analysis is something which is very important. We also have to do it. We will definitely do. Some are, but more of analytic thinkers, that's all. Pragmatic thinkers, flexible and adaptive, logic problem solvers, a go-getter who is action focused. The first name that came to my mind when I thought about a pragmatic thinker was our national president now, JCI Senator Anish Mathew. We are in COVID. We are in lockdown. JCI India is not able to take on with our normal activities for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe even 3 months for that matter. We don't know. But the show must go on. The JCI India's members must be really made active. So what is the way out for that? A beautiful platform has been created here, a webinar training series. Parallelly, for business people, another webinar business sessions are happening. I think this is what is called pragmatic leadership is concerned. Leader thinking in a pragmatic way. Flexible and adaptive to the situation, very logically analyzed. Yes, we are not going to, this may not end now. We will have to go about it. A go-getter who is doing that. Friends, we have got a lot of examples. We can get it from other areas as well. A lot of managers, usually in organizations, will be pragmatic thinkers. They will be logically thinking, okay, we have got 12 months to go. We have to achieve this kind of business. Okay, first 3 months, we may not have that really good business. When it comes to Christmas time, New Year time, the business will go up. Like that, logically, they will be planning and they will be taking measures. And that's what we call as the pragmatic thinking. All of us have to be pragmatic thinkers too, because they are the practical thinkers. Synthesis thinkers. Synthesis thinkers, some books we will say creative thinker, innovative thinker. Synthesis thinker is nothing but not tied to logic. They are not tied to logic. They look from all angles and they look at the different views and ideas. They are always curious and creative. They don't get stuck to one idea. They don't say, okay, I'm just having 2-3 ideas in my mind. And then they will not say, okay, this is right, that is wrong. They will say, they will look at everything. There is something right that I can get from this one. There is something that's right I can take from the second one. They will synthesis. They might create something even better out of all these. They will be taking the essence from them and they will create. curiosity and creativity will help them to take unbelievably beautiful decisions. So Steve Jobs is a classic example of a person who is a synthesis thinker. He's creative. He looks at various angles and then he brings out something phenomenal. That is what. I am reminded of my 2011 when I was the president of JCI Cochin. We have been doing a program called Earth Hour from 2009, 2010 we were doing it. It was a public program we used to conduct in a huge place with nearly 1,000 to 1,500 people come. 8:30 to 9:30 is the time at which the lights will be switched off. Why do we switch off the lights? It's not to save energy. It is basically to give a pledge to ourselves to help the country, help the planet by being very, very miserly when it comes to using this energy. We have to be conscious about using energy. That is what the logic is all about. But we had a thought. Some of us really sat together. We thought, but that is more of a show off rather than any real results happening. If at all a real result has to happen, if there has to be a sustainable kind of a solution, we need to look beyond. Then we started thinking and we brought in a different model, a curious, a creative, a synthesis model. And that was, we decided to go to schools. In the schools, those who were studying in the LP, that is like something like second standard, third standard, fourth standard students, they were given orientation about the need to save energy. And apart from that, they were given a beautiful certificate calling Energy Manager of the Home. And when they were made the energy managers of the home, and when they were given orientation that they have to take care of things at home, they started going to home and they started even reminding their parents, come on, that light is on, unnecessarily we should not put on, come on, let us switch off. Like that, they were able to really act. We also made sure the teachers were told to ask and remind every day for some time. So that becomes a habit. I still remember that primarily because my daughter was also there in one of the classes in Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan that time. She has that habit still right now. So we have to start. Synthesis thinking will give you certain ideas. Synthesis thinkers are the need of the hour. Idealistic thinkers, high standards and big goals they have. They take a broad view and holistic view, and they tend to be future oriented. And in Cochin, we recently have one marvel, and that is Cochin Metro. And how come this Cochin Metro became a reality is only because of one gentleman or one person, he spearheaded it, and that was the Metro man called E. Sridharan. E. Sridharan is a classic example for an idealistic thinker, in my opinion. High standards, big goals. You have heard about him a lot. Pamban Bridge between Rameshwaram and the mainland. So when in 1964, when there was a cyclone and that bridge was damaged, Railway wanted to put it back in order and they gave 6 months time. But he was able to really get it back in 46 days. That was what the kind of standards and that was the kind of performance he was able to, high performance he was able to really deliver. So this is really, really good about idealistic thinkers. So idealistic thinkers are in demand. I will speak about one more example. That is none other than Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata, we right now saw that in COVID time also, he is helping all his employees, even they are there at home. Taj Mahal Palace, when it was attacked by Kasab and team, and the hotel was closed for nearly 1 year, but he made sure that not even a single paisa is reduced and everybody was getting the money in their homes. And everybody who had some kind of an injury or the other or disease, that because of this event, they were taken very well care of. Idealistic leaders. They set high standards. They are very good performers, but they have a holistic view and they are very future oriented. And the fifth style I would say is realistic thinkers. Realistic thinkers are more like pragmatic thinkers itself. They are also very logical kind of people, but the advantage is they are summarizes the problems fast and think very quickly. They take quick decisions and actions for early results. As I am a cricket fan, as I love cricket, the examples flow from cricket usually. One person who comes to my mind all of a sudden is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is one person who thinks on the field. He will just on the ground itself, he will take decisions. He's an exceptionally good realistic leader, realistic thinker. So that's what really matters. And COVID times, many programs. For example, I was listening to that program called Lockdown, a Entrepreneurial Opportunity by Raman Nayar sir. COVID is an opportunity for many companies. COVID is an opportunity for many people to further their skills. Jack Ma, when SARS came in 2002, 2003, was one person who got benefited out of that. Alibaba.com was not that great a company till then. But when SARS came and when this China, Hong Kong and all those areas were really affected, people were not going out and they resorted to online purchase, and Alibaba got their best opportunity to really come up during that time. He was able to really understand and summarize the problem fast, take quick decisions, and they were able to really do this. So even though I said many big examples of business, cricket and all, let us first understand on a daily basis, we have a scope to get into all these more. But unfortunately, when we get into certain professions, when we get into certain patterns, we become maybe analytical thinker means we will become predominantly analytic thinker. If we are something called an idealistic thinker, we will predominantly become an idealistic thinker and the other thinking styles will not come. But who is a good guy is, he is able, according to the situation, according to the context, if he is able to put on the glass that is really required, analytical thinker's glass, pragmatic thinker's glass, or synthesis thinker's glass, as and when it is really required, then he becomes really good. So history says, or all the studies says, only 15% of the people are that flexible to adapt to all these. Some people will skew to maybe one or two and they get stuck there. They are not able to really get out of that. But if you have to think right, if you have to embrace a wonderful future, which is there in front of us, we need to slowly think about, we must be aware of these thinking styles. We must be aware of the behaviors of these thinking leaders, and then we should be able to adapt to that. So that's where we really do well. Friends, are you ready? I just want you to do a small activity. There will be something that will be shown on the screen. I will give you 1 minute. And I need an answer which I would look forward to seeing in the chat box. So what will you do? What are you going to do? I will just see. I'm just giving you 1 minute. The earlier you do, the better it is. Let us see. The activity is this. Mr. A purchases a bag for rupees 500. He sells it to Mr. B for rupees 600. Mr. A returns to Mr. B and repurchases it for rupees 700. Mr. A again sells it to Mr. B for rupees 800. What is the net result? I just wish to see the chat box and let me see who are typing the answers. Okay. Okay, I'm just getting answers. Come on, let me see. There is answer is nil, answer is 300, answer is 200, answer is profit 200, bag is with the D. Okay, 200, same. Okay, what does that same mean? Okay, profit of rupees 100, 100, 200 profit, 0, A 200, no profit, 600. My goodness. 100, benefit of 300 rupees, 100, 100, 200, 100, 200, 100, 200, 300, nil, no profit. Okay, got around product worth 500 and at 800. Okay, great. That's a different way of looking at it. Okay, profit 100. Okay, fine. So my dear friends, the answer is, if it is 100, those who have written 100, I'm sorry, you're wrong. If you have written 0, again, you're wrong. If you have written 300, sorry, again, you're wrong. The answer is 200. The answer is 200. Just take the first two statements first. Mr. A purchases a bag for 500. Imagine Mr. A had a purse. He took out from the purse 500 rupees. He purchased the bag. His investment is 500. He sells it to Mr. B for 600. What is the profit? He replaced the 500 back into his purse and 100 rupees is kept on in the pocket. That is his profit. Now the the third and fourth statement. Mr. A returns to Mr. B, repurchases it for 700. He took out the purse, paid 700 and purchased it. Again, he sells it for 800. 700 replaced back into the purse. 100 goes into your pocket. 200 rupee profits went into your pocket. So that means it is 200. Friends, we just connected it. First to second, second to third, third to fourth. Actually, you should be seeing as two different transactions. The first and second are one transaction. Third and fourth are second transaction. Clarity of thinking. We need to have clarity of thinking, my dear. Why we are not able to have clarity of thinking to a great extent is because of something called barriers of thinking. We have some barriers that stop us from thinking forward. Let us look at these barriers of thinking. So first and foremost barrier that comes into us is something called assumptions. All of us or many of us fall prey to this thing called assumption. What is assumption? Assumption is nothing but we usually have preconceived thinkings. I am coming from a marketing field. I am a development officer with Life Insurance Corporation of India for the past 28 years. I have a team of around 70, 75 people. And I just keep them, teach them, motivate them. I send them to the field, and once in a while, I go along with them for joint calls. And whenever I go, my people usually tell me, people all have this assumption that we are all there to cheat them. Same thing happens to us. When somebody comes at the door to sell something, the first thing that we do is the salespeople are not trustworthy. So when we have an assumption like this, we don't properly listen to that person. He might have a very good idea to share with you. He might have a very good product to give to you. So what you really require is don't get into this bad pattern of assumption. We have the word called assume, A-S-S-U-M-E. That is the spelling of assume. If you write A-S-S first, leave a gap, then write you, then leave a gap, then write me, it becomes something called as you me. So when you have assumptions, you make an as of you and me, my dear friends. So what is really required is we should get these assumptions out. Even during this COVID time, I have been listening to so many people telling something. COVID or this corona virus will affect only old people. Young people have no risk. I think these people are making unnecessarily huge hue and cry about this. Some people still hold on to that opinion. I think the opinion might have changed now. That is a different thing. But some people had it. And another thing related to corona people used to say is that India will be unaffected because our temperature is soaring. We have high humidity coming. Because of this high humidity and temperature, we are not going to have many corona cases coming. That is again a kind of an assumption. If at all the government had that assumption, if at all the ICMR, that the Council for Medical Research, if at all they had assumption, we would have been in a soup. It is only because we have the clarity of thinking, we are going by the facts, we are going by the science, that we are able to really have a lockdown now. And we are trying to contain it. So that is only because we are not having the assumptions when we are thinking. All of us have these assumptions whenever we think. Even we say, for example, some trainers, whenever we have discussions in the meetings and all, we say, okay, that person can be called. He's a sure shot guarantee. But even in trainers, they have specialized areas. Maybe a person who is very good in leadership training programs may not be a good guy to be called for a marketing or sales training program. So let us not have assumptions. Let us be very, very subjective. Let us really, really look at it. So that is one thing. Number two is lack of knowledge. Again, going back to the present time of COVID, we have a number of cases in the last 7 days rising because of some very irresponsible act. A very irresponsible act that happened in Delhi. We know that there was one congregation that happened, and that congregation has contributed to nearly 60 to 70% of the cases in the last 6 to 7 days. Lack of knowledge of the people really becomes a barrier when it comes to thinking. We should not have that. We should remove that. If you want to invest in share market, if you want to invest in mutual funds, we need to have some knowledge. Without knowledge, if we go and put money in the stock market, most probably you will burn your hands. So that should not happen. Lack of knowledge is definitely a barrier of thinking, which we experience on a daily basis with people. That's always there. Third one, fears. There are a lot of fears that can come as a barrier. Which are the fears? The fear of failure, the fear of taking risk. I don't want to take a risk. I don't want to take a risk and make sure that in front of people I should not become a laughing stock. So that is a thinking. That is some fears pull us down. We will not be able to, we really will not be able to think that great because of that. Fears is something which really pulls us back. So we should be just getting out of these fears and try. Emotions, somebody was talking about emotions. Yes, another thing is anger. When we are angry, most of the time what happens is we will not be able to think sane. When we are angry, what happens is our thinking will go for a toss. We will be taking certain decisions. We will be taking reactive kind of decisions when we are in anger. Friends, I have heard a beautiful statement earlier, and that statement really sticks with me. And that statement is, anger is one letter short of danger. Anger is one letter short of danger. Only the D extra is there in that. So danger. So we should not be taking decisions when we have fears, when we have the wrong kind of emotions. I want to come to one area which is very important, and that is called biases and fallacies. I will just take you through some of the biases, because these biases are very important. That really hinders our thinking. So one of the bias I want to speak about is something called confirmation bias. What is a confirmation bias? So confirmation bias is nothing but we have certain beliefs and we believe that those beliefs are right and we stick on to that. Again, I will just, for example, if at all we believe in a political party, let us imagine current government is because of a political party, a major party is the ruling or the part of this government. If at all we are a strong believer of that party, we always have a strong conviction and belief to support them for whatever they do. Even when they make some foolish decisions, even when they make some wrong decisions, because of the strong confirmation or belief, confirmation bias in us, we really do not want to see the other side, which you are seeing in the violet there, that is the objective or the real facts. We don't really see it. That is not good. When we have to think, yes, we all have beliefs, but at the same time, it should not maroon us, and we should be able to think and see the other facts, and then only we will be able to have a very good clarity of thinking. Let me take one example. Earlier, I have seen my friends telling me during my cricket days, left-handers are natural players and stylish players. During the earlier times when I used to watch, there was one great player from England by the name David Gower. The way he used to bat, it was simply amazing. So natural a player, so stylish a player. You have got so many left-handed players stylish, like Brian Lara. You have Adam Gilchrist. You have Sangakkara. All these players have a natural, beautiful style. Yuvraj Singh, they are so good-looking and stylish. So if I have the belief that left-handed players are more stylish than right-handed players, that is a belief I have. But actually the fact on the other side, there are so many right-handed players who are good as well. Look at a player called Marco. Look at a player called Azharuddin. Look at a player called our own Rohit Sharma now. Effortless, beautiful, so good to watch, so stylish. But as earlier times onwards, I have a faith that left-handed players are more stylish. Then I am not trying to see the other side of it, the right-handed players as possibilities. I just go to one side. That is what we call as the confirmation bias. This confirmation bias will really take away our normal thinking. We shouldn't be doing that. So then we will get into another bias, a very famous bias. A very famous bias, to some extent, we also contribute to that. We are all motivational trainers. We are all inspirational trainers. When we do this motivational talk and speeches, we will speak about some great players who have succeeded. We will speak about Mukesh Ambani who succeeded. We will speak about Bill Gates who succeeded. So we will be speaking about something which is called survivors. We are speaking about success stories. We are not really speaking about, to a great extent, about the other 99 or 95% of the people who have failed. And that is why in a very famous book called The Art of Thinking Clearly, Ralph DeBolle, he says about something very curiously about survivorship bias. He speaks in that book about survivorship bias, and what he says is we have a tendency to overestimate and overvalue the success stories and underestimate and undervalue the setbacks or failures around. We don't see them at all. So self-help books to a great extent propagate that. But when we think, if you look at the startup scenario now, in India, out of the total startups that really get off, after 5 years, if you look at it, only 5% of them really thrive and 90% of them go down. If we are focusing and speaking about the 5% success stories like OYO rooms, we speak about Make My Trip, we speak about a lot of examples which have done good, but there are 95% of the startups which have failed. If we don't look at the 95% of them and start to learn from them, what were the mistakes these people did, we might also try to do those mistakes, because we are only looking at the success stories on the other side. We should not get blindsided by this. That is exactly what we have to do. Imagine in our school days and our kids, when they come home and say that, okay, when they get good marks in one subject, they say, I studied well, I took a lot of efforts, I got good marks. But what happens is, sometimes they will always say the other thing. Dropouts, that is another case we speak about. We always say there are many trainers who say in their programs, be a dropout, school dropout. Because Bill Gates became successful because he was a dropout. Steve Jobs became a success. He made history. He was a dropout. Mark Zuckerberg, he was a school dropout. School in the sense the colleges, that's what they say. They had higher dreams. They had some better ideas. Rather than spending time, they went and did that. Just because you drop out of school, you are not going to be successful like them. Wrong perceptions are going around, at least in some way. So we have to look at the success stories. We also have to look at the wrong ones and unsuccessful stories, and then only we will be able to really move forward. A classic example in that book of Art of Thinking Clearly I read is this. World War II. During the World War II, the Allied United States of America was part of the Allied forces. And in United States of America, after they go for their operations, combat missions, the jets would come back and they will have the holes. And the maintenance department, the engineering department had a tough task. They had to just see, they had to analyze things, and they came to a conclusion that we need to armor the wings. We need to armor the tail. Just look at them. There are a lot of holes. Maybe the material is not good enough. Maybe the material is not strong enough. There are holes there. We should really work out on that. We have to give extra metal padding at all these places. That is what the thought process that went. But there was one mathematician, there was one statistician. He came, his name was Mr. Walt, Thomas Walt. He came, he saw and said, friends, I think you're making a mistake. You're looking at a sample which has survived. These are the flights which have gone on an operation. They have come back. All those who have come back means they have really come back. If they have come back in spite of these holes, that tells you that these are not the places where we have to concentrate on. Maybe if at all there are many jets which have not come back. Why they have not come back? Because they were not hit at these places. They might have been hit under the engine. They might have been hit under the cockpit. So it is not these places where we have to armor more. It is at the other places you have to armor more, which we are not seeing. We have a wrong selection and we are taking a wrong decision here. But this is what is called survivorship bias. Looking at only the success stories, we speak and glorify them, and we don't look at the people who have failed, people who have not been able to do that. Don't get blindsided. We have to see them. Then only we will not be making the mistakes they did. So clarity of thinking is required. Biases should get out. I will tell two more, and then I will move to the next topic because so many biases are there. Self-serving bias. This is a very famous bias. Many of us do. When we do something, if something good happens, we take credit for that. If something bad happens, we blame others. This is something like a habit that has got into many of us. So when this habit comes, we have something called a self-serving bias. We are just not seeing the second part. Whenever we have some setback, we have a tendency to point fingers at others. We have a tendency to blame others. We have a tendency to pass on the buck. It is not the passing on the buck that needs to be done. It is this has to be done. I just spoke about one example slightly early. That was about the child. The child getting good marks, they will say that, okay, it is because of my effort. And then after that, if at all in one subject, if the child is not getting good marks, they will definitely say, the teacher is always not liking me. The teacher doesn't like me at all. And that is why I got bad marks. So the blame is always there. If I do this training program, this webinar series program, if I do reasonably well, I would say that I did hell of a lot of effort and that's why it come out. And if I don't do well, if I get bad feedback, I will say, this is not my cup of tea. I would love to get along with people. I would like to get the real feedback from people. Then only I will be able to perform. So if I get part of the second area, the blaming game part, and this one, it's going to be really, really wrong. So self-serving bias is a very, very dangerous one we should get out of. We should be able to see things clearly. If at all there is something wrong, we should be able to ask a question to ourselves first. Am I the person who is responsible for that? That should be the first question that should come. We will get into the last one. That is sunk cost fallacy, a beautiful one. Sunk cost fallacy can be easily understood by people who get into business. When they get into business, people invest a lot of money. I have a close friend of mine, a young guy, a very intelligent person. He started a business. He got into a business and the business was on for 1 year, 2 years. He was investing money a lot. He got a lot of money from his parents. He got a lot of money from friends. He did not have a lot of money that came from venture capitalists or bank because it was only the beginning. Nobody knew that. And he had to put in a hell of a lot of money into the business. It reached a point where everyone around, even he, was feeling that it's not going anywhere. He had already invested close to maybe 25 lakh rupees. But even at that particular point, he was thinking that, no, I have already put 25 lakh. I have already invested 2 years of my time. I have already invested my energy here. Now I cannot go back. I should persist with it. He persisted with it. And from 25 lakh, he went up to 50 lakh, 60 lakh, and then he had to close the shop. This is a very dangerous thing called sunk cost fallacy. As I have already invested, I will not go back. That is what they say. Let us imagine a very small example that can happen in our house. For example, my wife and I, if we decide to go for a movie, we purchase a ticket. Online, we purchase the ticket the earlier day. The show starts at 6 o'clock in the evening, and I have already spent some 300 rupees for the ticket. And that day, just before, or maybe 2 hours before, I get a call from my sister and brother-in-law saying that they will be coming to our home maybe around 8:30 or so, and they will stay back that night. Now there is an issue. The issue is when they come, they need to be fed. They need to be given food. We have to just make some preparation. And how we can make that preparation? But I have already invested 300 rupees and purchased the ticket. That is always there in the back of mind. I don't want to lose it. And now what I do is, I will go there, I will finish the movie, 8:15, we will run and come here. By the time they come, We are here, but the food is not prepared. All the food we will have to buy again. Hell of a lot expenses will go. Maybe forgetting that 300 rupees and making food would have been a much better option there. I could have gone and seen that movie paying another 300 later. Still, that would have been profitable. This is a psychological thing that happens to us. We have already invested time. We have already invested money. We have already invested energy. We cannot go back. That is what is called the sunk cost fallacy. So we saw some barriers now. Now we will just see a framework or something like that. So we all know that if at all we have to get good results, we have to put good input. An input, a processing happens, and a output comes out. If you have to make a juice, what do? You open the juice, this one, okay, fine. Then after that, you put very good fruits into that. You close it, jar, and then finally you switch it on. It just processes for some time, and then you get that product, and that is how it comes out. Everything has got a 3 stages: input, process, output. Thinking is also like that. What we put in determines what will be our output. Even if this has to process what we put in the form of information, what we put in the form of knowledge, that really matters. I have a small acronym here, and that is nothing but think right and the right here. So if at all we have to take good decisions, if at all we have to come out with some very good solutions to problems in life, the first thing that we have to do is we have to do a good research. Research is for getting information. We can get information from various areas, maybe from our own experience, maybe from our own thoughts, maybe from Google, maybe from experts, maybe from books. So we have to do a lot of research and we have to get information first. That is the input you have to put. That input goes into the next one. We get into the processing part, and that is called insight. What is insight? In the insight, our notions, our preconceived notions, and also something which I told earlier about the 5 styles of thinking. I hope you remember. Analytical. Is it the analytical kind of a insight that I have to use here? Is it a pragmatic kind of a style I have to use here to get the solution? Is it a synthesis kind of a thinking that I have to generate some ideas? So I will have to pick one of them and apply my knowledge and my insights on the information that I have received, and that will generate new ideas. We are slowly getting into the product output. We get new ideas. That is what the generation of ideas. All the ideas that gets generated, we may not be able to implement. Out of these generated ideas, we may have to hone it, means filter it and perfect it, and we will have to arrive at one. That is what we will be doing, that process called honing. Honing that, and we just get into the one. And once maybe we get one idea, and then we go on to test it. Test it is implement it in large scale or in small scale, like a, what is it called, a beta launch kind of a thing. When we implement it, we will know whether it is working or not. If it is working, we will be able to go ahead with that. If we are not able to get it to work, we may have to go back and start afresh. We have got the information already there. We have to maybe use another insight to it. Maybe the insight we used earlier might not work. We will have to look at that. So this is one model through which we will be able to solve problems and get into good decisions. So we are getting into the third part. We have already covered 2 parts. The 2 parts we were covered were, first is the 5 thinking styles we saw, and the second one was basically the barriers, including some of the biases which we covered. And we get into how we can cultivate our thinking. So if we have to cultivate thinking, the first thing that we have to do is we have to observe expansively. Observation is a very, very good quality we need to have if we have to become a good thinker. Let me just take you back to one sporting event. In the late 80s, there is one great player who came or who really got into the scene from nowhere, and he was a German tennis player by the name Boris Becker. At that time, the #1 ATP ranked player was Andre Agassi. And Boris Becker came into that Wimbledon match as a wild card entry. Who is a wild card entry? Even if you are not having the rankings, if you have prodigious talent, sometimes you will be taken by the organizers, and that's how you came. And Boris Becker was expected by the people to maybe win a match or two the maximum. But he went throughout the tournament, and at the end, he lifted the Wimbledon. That was a classic run by a debutant. And Andre Agassi was also knocked down on the way. The world #1 being knocked down, it was too difficult for him to really take it. After 6 months, they again met in a tournament. Boris Becker. Another 9 months down the line, third match, again Boris Becker won. 3 matches on the trot, world #1 is getting defeated by Boris Becker. And it really affected his self-esteem. And Andre Agassi wanted to fight back. What did he do? He studied the tape of Boris Becker's match. And then next 8 matches, 7 matches were won by Andre Agassi. 3 matches Andre Agassi lost. The next 8 matches, 7 matches were won by, again, Andre Agassi. He tilted it towards him. So the final tally is 12 matches, 4 for Boris Becker, 8 for Andre Agassi. Both of them retired, and later, when they came for a Wimbledon match, they just got to each other. They decided to have a beer from the beer parlor by the side. They took beer in the hand, they said cheers, and then Boris Becker said, Andre, after our matches, I used to go back and tell my girlfriend that you are one person who used to read my mind like no one in this world. That was a compliment, but Andre Agassi started laughing out. And then he said, sorry, Boris, I never used to read your mind. I only used to read your tongue. He did not understand. Boris said, what? Tongue? Now, Andre Agassi said, when I went through your tapes after the 3 matches, I found out something very special about you. When you were thinking about serving, when you were putting the ball down before sending it up to serve, your serves are so great. But before sending it up, when you were just knocking it down, when you were thinking to send the ace or send the serve to the left side, unknowingly you were taking your tongue to the left side like this. And if at all you were thinking about right, you were taking your tongue to the right side unknowingly, and you get it back. And if you were thinking about serving straight, you were taking your tongue straight out, which you were not knowing, but I know taste. And then after that, I was doing only one thing. Whenever the big serves come, whenever the big match points come, I will not look anywhere but your mouth. Then when your tongue goes to the left, I know that the ball is going to come to the left. I am prepared to go to the left. If it is on the right, your tongue goes to right, I am prepared to go to the right. So my dear friends, observation makes a huge difference. A lot of things can happen even in our daily life. In the business world, we know that Nano, maybe it is not a great product, but it was a revolutionary product, Nano car. The Nano car came only because Ratan Tata observed what? In a Chetak, a father, mother, and 2 kids were traveling while there was rain. He found it and he asked a question to himself, why these people are taking such big risk? It is only because they can't afford a car. So that observation made him really go after a new project called Nano. My dear friends, observation is very necessary to increase your thinking, cultivate your thinking, listen intentionally. You might have heard about, I think most of you would be knowing a company called IKEA. The IKEA is a company, furniture legend, the #1 furniture or the largest furniture sellers in the world. And the company's owner's name is Ingvar Kamprad. Ingvar Kamprad started this business, a Swedish guy started this business at the age of 18. And when he was maybe in his 20s, a friend of him came to buy a table. And from the shop, it was taken out along with some of his servants, some of his employees. And the car was just like our Innova. It can be opened up from the back. And this table, they were trying to keep inside, but the table was not going inside. And this guy, customer, who was not able to see it going in, he got a bit frustrated and he said one statement which Irwin Kamprad listened to. The statement was, if at all these legs could have been removed. What was the statement? If at all these legs could have been removed. As soon as he heard that these legs could have been removed, Irwin Kamprad got an idea. The idea was to start a new kind of furniture called flat pack furniture. That is how we have something called the flat pack furniture now. We can assemble, we can take it out, we can travel, we can just get it again and assemble, disassemble and then take it out kind of furniture called flat pack furniture. Listening is very important. When we listen, we get ideas. We should listen to people who are good. We should listen to intelligent people. We should listen to leaders. If we listen to people who are better than us, higher than us, we will be getting better materials for cultivating our thinking. So with whom you speak, with whom you interact makes a huge difference. Straight away taking to the point, interact to gain insight. Many of you know a company called ID Fresh Foods. ID Fresh Foods come from Bangalore. But this company was started by few Malayali guys. Mustafa and his friends. And his cousins. His cousins, 4 of them were not very good in studies. They had some money with them. They were from a place called Wayanad. It is the northern part of Kerala. And from there, they went to Bangalore. And this guy, Mustafa, was already there in Bangalore. He was doing his MBA after his engineering. So with his help, they started a small grocery shop. All the 5 of them put together money and they started. The grocery business was reasonably good. And after some time, all of the 5 together sat for a brainstorming meeting and they thought, okay, our grocery shop is okay, but we are not going really forward. If at all we have to go forward, we need to start something. And the brainstorming started and one of them said, okay, why don't we start a superstore? Why don't we make it a supermarket? Like that, some ideas came. One person who used to have a lungi kind of a dress and finally he was there. His name was Shamsuddin, who used to always sit at the cashier's place. And this guy really came up with a great idea. What he said is, I usually interact with the customers. Whenever I interact with the customers, I get ideas from the customers. One of the ideas that I recently got was, yes, we are having an increase in the sales of idli batter. But the quality of idli batter, people are not very happy about. So if at all we can bring out good idli batter, I believe there is going to be a good demand. And they got into a business called idli batter business. And that is what idli dosha, ID Fresh Foods, idli dosha Fresh Foods. And the business is so phenomenally successful now. It is only because he was interacting with the customers. Your thinking can be ignited if you really interact with the customers. Read to get enlightened. Our thinking will go to a different tangent altogether if we become better readers. There are beautiful books to read. There are beautiful articles which are available even on internet like HBR, Medium, and even Oxford brings out papers. So if we read good articles, if we read good books, naturally we will get enlightened and our thinking will go to a higher order. So that's reading is an extremely important thing we can do. Travel to gain experience. Traveling is something that can really make your thinking sane. Some 4 years back, along with my family, I went for a trip. The trip was to Leh Ladakh. And when we go to Leh, there is the highest motorable road there called Kardungla Pass. We cross the Kardungla Pass and on the other side, we have something called the Nubra Valley. Nubra Valley is a very beautiful valley there in Ladakh. And in the Nubra Valley, where we stayed was in a house. That was a homestay. A husband and a wife. they were there, and we stayed with them. And while interacting with them in the little Hindi I can speak to them, I really understood something. And what they said is, we for nearly 3 to 4 months do not get out of our homes, our houses, because the weather here is so bad that our snowfall, climate goes to, in the daytime itself, it goes to -5 to -25, and we can't do anything outside. So we remain indoor. We store food. We just be inside and just bide the 3 months of real tough times, the winter there. So friends, when I have to sit here for 21 days inside my house, the first thought that came to my mind is, how are these people sitting for 3 months every year? Then 21 days sitting is nothing for me. The traveling opens up your mind. Traveling opens up your thinking. Starbucks coffee, started by Howard Schultz. And this person was working in a company called Starbucks, in fact. Starbucks was selling coffee powder, nothing but coffee powder in United States of America. And as he was employed, he was first with a different company selling these machines. And finally they took him and he was there and he was sent to Italy for a conference, coffee conference. When he went for that coffee conference, after the coffee conferences in the evenings, he was strolling on the streets of Italy and he saw something phenomenal. What he really liked was, there was a culture. The culture was small hut kind of shops will be there and people will sit around, they will sip their coffee and they will be spending 30 minutes, 45 minutes chatting. So he understood there is a culture there. They might be charging high prices for the coffee, but what they are giving is not coffee. What they are giving is something called an experience. He came back. He told his bosses in Starbucks and said, why don't we also get into this business? They said, we are not interested. And he started a different group company, Gionado 2 or something like that. He started a company and it went on. And after a while, he made reasonably good profit. He approached and he bought the Starbucks. The original owners sold it to him. And that is how Starbucks went. Traveling only gave the experience. Traveling only opened up new vistas for that person to start business. Friends, ask for help. There is nothing wrong in asking for help. I would say there is everything to gain when you ask for help. As a trainer, all these 8 to 10 years, I have been in this field. I have been asking for help from many of my senior trainers and mentors. I was very fortunate to work with so many trainers. If it is in Kerala, I had the opportunity to work with Vamanji. I had an opportunity to work with Sandoshji, Pramodji. I can call them and ask if there is a need. Ratnam sir, my entity as Guru, I can call at any time. I had worked with Nirmal Parekh ji in a program. So I do call him whenever I have a doubt or when I need some more points for something. Asking for help is always nice. If you want to have the right kind of thinking, if you want to take your thinking to a higher level, there is absolutely nothing wrong in asking for help. Asking for help is not showing that you are mean, you are less in any way. You are valuing them, you are taking advice from them. That's always good. Learn continually. If you have to cultivate your thinking, there is nothing else you have to do. You have to learn continually. What we are doing all these days, listening to these webinar series, is also learning continually. Reading books is continually. Experiences is learning continually. Taking up positions in the organization is performing is learning continually. Whenever you take small leadership positions, that teaches you much more than the books teach you. 1 year as even a long president, what you learn from them will be much more than what you can learn from a good MBA college. That's learning by doing, my dear friends. So this will enhance your thinking. So friends, I spoke about observation is necessary if you have to cultivate your thinking. Listening is necessary if you have to cultivate thinking. Interacting with the right kind of people is necessary if you have to cultivate thinking. Reading is an absolute necessity if you have to take you to a higher level order of thinking. Traveling will give you more areas of opportunities and throw up more horizons for you cultivating. Asking for helping, taking from mentors is always necessary. Learning continually is also necessary. Friends, we have seen 3 parts. And now we will get into the last part, that is how great leaders think. Great leaders think at a different level. Great leaders think. As I like sports, I would like to bring examples from sports. For a change, not from cricket, from football. You see this person. What is this person? Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson, you can say, as one of the best managers ever the game of football has seen. He was the manager of Manchester United from 1986 to 2013, 27 long years of manager of one club. What an amazing run he had. You can see the stats. 1,498 games he managed. And he won 38 trophies, 2 Champions League matches, 20 league titles, 894 wins, means around 60% of the matches he was able to win. Manchester United won. And one knighthood, that is, he was given a Sir status for the phenomenal performance as a good coach and a manager and a leader. So let's just learn what is there in the brain of this guy. That will give us ideas how to think at a higher level. Start with the foundation, invest in youth and basics. This was his first thought. What he said is, when I came in the year 1986, what the thought, Manchester United was not a great team. They were not doing that well. But I decided my first strategy was to create 2 centers of excellence. First center of excellence, the present senior football team. I strengthened it. I gave a lot of focus on them, tried to bring them up better. But the second strategy I did was, I recruited a lot of people to manhunt, to go around the world, go to great cities, go to great grounds, and try to find out kids who are just 8 years, 9 years, who have prodigious talent, sign them and bring them to Manchester United. Such a player who made great success was David Beckham. David Beckham of England was one such player who was recruited at an age of around 9 or 10. Giggs was another player like that. So his idea was, invest in youth and basics. Start with the foundation, a very clear thinking. A good leaders, if you are starting a startup, if you are having a business, if you want to get into anything for that matter, what is really required is you have to invest in youth, because that only will give you a longer term success. And also the foundations have to be very, very strong. A thinking of a good leader. Dare to rebuild your team. And he says that my team, the whole team, always used to change. Every 4 years, I have a new kind of a team. That means if I have a team of 11 players, after 4 years, out of the 11 players, maybe 7 or 8 players will be new. Only some 3 or 4 players will be the old players. So he always ensures that the new team comes in. Knack of strengthening and refreshing, because he knows that any athlete has a limited period of time. After that, he needs to move on. So he was always looking at new talent all the time. Set high standard and hold everyone to that. So here what he does is, so set high standards and hold everyone to that is something very big. He says, I set very high standards. I make sure that every day when the workout is there, I am at the ground before 7 o'clock. When I am there as a disciplinarian and being there at 7 o'clock, my assistant coaches will also reach before that. And none of the players, including the seniors, will take any liberty, and they will also be there. Number 2, it is not only about practice, it is also about performance. He keeps such high standards of performance that whenever he sees somebody is not really doing that, he will really pull them up. So that is another way the great leaders think. Always keep the very highest of standards. Never ever cede control. A great leader should never ever cede control. Doesn't mean that you have to micromanage. Micromanage means you get into everything. Never ever cede control means you maybe from a distance, but still from there you will have the correct control. Nobody will be allowed to really go beyond. Just like an army, you cannot just question them. You have to obey. Similarly, he has brought in a kind of culture that I am the manager here, I am the boss here, however big player you may be. Even Ronaldo, The great Ronaldo played under him in Manchester United. Even Ronaldo never was able to really do anything against him. He was always in command. He was forceful and very quick response to the real requirements. And I will just get into the last 2-3 points and match the message to the moment. So the first one I read is match the message to the moment, diplomatic or firm as per situation. A leader, when he thinks, he has to think, okay, if a senior player is being rested, to give opportunity to the youngsters, no good player would like to sit out and watch the match from outside. That's a reality. They always want to be in the action. But youngsters need to be given opportunity. What he will do is, he will go, he will put his arm around him and tell, you need to rest. I don't want to expose you and take risk all the time. This is a match in which I can give an opportunity to this youngster to come up. So he will be very diplomatic with them. But if one player, it doesn't really perform well, if that performance is not up to the mark, he never minces his words and he will be very firm if the situation demands so. That is what the other style. So he was always very good in communication, but his communication used to be different depending on the requirement and the situation and context. Strategies and simulated practice sessions. And next thing what he used to do was strategies and simulated. Simulated means nothing but this. Suppose the match is usually for 90 minutes in a football match. He will all of a sudden, when the match is running, he will say that right now the match is only 10 more minutes. And we are 2-1 down. Come on, we have to win this match in the next 10 minutes. Come on, let us win. So there will be an opposition team, obviously, and they will be just playing in a simulated situation and they will try to win it, creating simulated situations for people. So in organizations also, we create some simulated situations for people because whenever the real big challenges comes, otherwise they will not be able to do. I stay very near to Cochin refineries. In Cochin refineries, they do something called the drills every now and then. That is, whenever there is a fire or something like that breaks out, there are certain protocols to be followed. But the protocols just from the textbooks, they will not be able to learn. Some practicing has to be done. What do? They just conduct mock drills. And all of a sudden, we people will see that vehicles are running this side and there will be alarms. But what happens is simulated situations are being created there. Great leaders think at that level. Rely on the power of observation. I have already spoken about one observation. And what he used to do is, as a manager, as a coach, he never used to be always by the side when the practice happens, when the match happens. He will just delegate it and give it to his assistant coaches, and he will go far away. From a distance, he will look. What he says is that when you look from away, when you look detached, you will be seeing things you won't see otherwise. So that is another way of looking at it. Great leaders do that. Mukesh Ambani is not one person who is involved in the day-to-day activities of the company, but he will be looking at from a different viewpoint and he will be looking at from a different distant length. So that is what rely of the power of observation is all about. Never stop adapting. So ladies and gentlemen, if at all, we have to go forward. If we have to become a very good thinker, what is really required is never stop adapting. Change methods, processes in tune with the time is what the real need is all about. And how great leaders think? Great leaders scratch their own itch. What is it, scratching your own itch? You would have heard about a company. Before I tell the company, I will speak about Fanindra Soma is one person who was an engineering graduate. He was working in a company, a techie company in Bangalore. He was from Hyderabad and he wanted to go home for Deepavali, or we call it as Diwali there in North India, Diwali. And that, but because his job was such that he wasn't able to plan about his travel early. And the earlier day evening, the eve of Diwali evening, he wanted to somehow get into a bus. There are thousands of buses plying between Bangalore and Hyderabad, those Volvo kind of buses. He went to one place, tried to get a ticket. They said all the tickets are gone. But from that office, he ran to another office. There also, he saw that there is no ticket available. He was running helter-skelter from one place to the other in Bangalore that day, 3 hours, 4 hours. And finally, he somehow managed to get into one bus and went home. By the time he reached, it was the next day afternoon. Diwali, the early morning was gone. His good time he could have spent with his family was gone. He was very despondent. And he asked a question to himself, why did this happen? It happened only because I did not plan early. That was the first idea that came to his mind. Correct? He did not plan early. That was why he was in a soup. The second thing asked, there are many people like me who cannot plan it early. What is the story about them? What is the data about them? Then he asked the second question. Okay, what is the reason why I wasn't able to? I came to know when I went to some bus office that, okay, there was a seat available, but it just left 10 minutes back. He understood that why we were not able to book tickets, why people are not able to book tickets is only because they don't have all the information. If you have all the information in their hand, they will not have this trouble. It is only that idea that made him start the company called Red Bus. Red Bus is a company started only because he had a niche and he had to scratch his own itch. So that is what the great leaders think about. When there are problems, they don't run away. If you have a problem, try to find a solution for yourself, and that solution will be applicable for others also. How great leaders think. There is one photo over there. I know that most of you would have recognized, those who know the game of cricket would have recognized the name of that person is Ricky Ponting. The great Australian batsman, wonderful fielder, a glorious captain. Ricky Ponting retired at the right time. Australians know when to retire, and we do not know. We know Kapil Dev waited. People asked, is it not time to retire? The same was with Sachin Tendulkar. Right now, Dhoni is also facing the same flag. And this guy retired when people were asking, why did you retire? And Crick Info, a magazine, conducted an interview with him, and they asked a very pertinent question to him. You played at the time where greats like Sachin Tendulkar, Brian Lara, Jack Ellis, Jayawardene, these kind of glorious players were playing. You also played alongside them. But I have noticed something very special about you, which were not there in them. The speciality is when they play, when the ball hits the bat, invariably, almost 70%, in their case, the ball goes to the field. But in your case, almost 70% or more, the ball goes into the gaps. Why is it so? And he had a laugh, and then he said, every batsman, before he faces every ball, he looks around. Oh, he's standing there, he's standing there, he's standing there, he's standing there. That's what comes into the head of the batsman. But I never think, I look, oh, there is a gap, oh, there is a gap, oh, there is a gap, oh, there is a gap. I only concentrate on those gaps. So when the ball comes at 150 kilometers per hour, I have to take a quick decision to strike the ball. What comes into my mind is not the obstacle, not the fielder, it is otherwise called the fielder. So friends, what is really required is find the gap, not the obstacle. Find the opportunities, not the obstacles. How great leaders think. I get into the last part. And they simplify, not complicate. Great leaders, even in JCI, we have seen great leaders. They don't complicate, they simplify. It is the greatness of great trainers, great leaders. I'm just saying something here. You might have seen this. What is it? Corona ka definition, Hindi mein. Correct? Corona. So what is Corona? He has explained it in such a beautiful manner. What is written there? Koi road par na nikale. This was brought out by somebody who is creative. It could be a kid for sure. But this was taken up by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, in his speech when he said, we are going for a 21-day lockdown. And he said, Corona, that is a beautiful, simple way. He said, Koi road mein nahi jana. So that is what. So friends, simplifying things is the most important thing. So we have also heard about a very famous, exceptional president of United States of America by the name John F. Kennedy, who said one statement, and that made all the difference. We still say that. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Two simple statements, right? But the message he gives across to the citizens is unbelievable, my dear friends. That is what simplification is all about. Great leaders do not complicate, great leaders simplify. How can I do this with excellence? not just let's just do it. This is my final parting message. Warren Buffett, when he was addressing a group of students in a college, he said, imagine that a genie appears in front of you, and the genie is ready to sanction a wish of yours. And he said, the wish is nothing but this: you will be given a car of your choice. So the wish will be granted, you can select a car. And if that is the case, how will you select the car? People said, students said, I will select a car, but one more condition was attached to that. That will be the one and only car that you will ever use in your life. You will have a car of your choice, but that will be the one and only car you will ever use in your life. So if that is the case, how will you select? The students said, best technology, best luxury, best design, unbelievable mileage, and very good maintenance, less maintenance charge. So everything best, he said. All the students said. Then Warren Buffett said, just like the car, you have just one life. You have just one life. Make the best of that life. Make the best of that life. Be it the time to your family. Be it the time in your profession. Be it the time for the social causes you are engaged in. Anything and everything you do it at the best. That is what. If at all we have to do everything at the best, we need to think right. We need to think like leaders. So that's what I really want to speak to you, friends. So recap, why we think. We think for decisions, memory, recollection, reasoning, okay, problem solving, understanding, ideation, questioning. Factors that influence our thinking: environment, education, experience, culture, movies, role models, trainings, which we have discussed in the first part. Barriers of thinking: there are assumptions, lack of knowledge, fears, and biases. And how to cultivate thinking: observe, listen, interact, read, travel, feedback, ask for help, and learn continually. And how great leaders think? Beautiful. They think ahead. They think for people. Think about solving problems. Think about opportunities. Think about excellence. Think about rebuilding their team. Think about strategies. Think about adapting. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a glorious opportunity among the stalwarts of training to just share this platform and address the whole of JCI India. I am indebted to this organization for everything that this organization gave me. I am a slow starter when it comes to JCI. I joined only at the age of around 35, 36. And I know, but I couldn't really prosper in my leadership ambitions, but training has given me everything. I have always benefited. It has really turned around. I will always be indebted to this wonderful organization for everything. Thank you so much to the National President for giving this opportunity, Zone Director Training Siddiq for the opportunity, as Skill Committee Chairman Vamanji, my mentor, for this great opportunity, and also the fabulous trainers who were there in the group. They were all helped me with contribution. They were all pepping me up. Today I got so many messages in the afternoon, do well, and that kind of messages from everyone. We all grow together, learn together for sure. And I am seeing two great pictures on my screen, and that is Vallabhji and Ravishankar sir. Thank you so much for this glorious opportunity. I'm indebted to all of you. And as far as the participants, I believe I have been able to add some value to your lives. So think right, think ahead, and keep moving forward. All the best, be better.
Harish, if you have a slide which shows your phone number or mobile WhatsApp number, you can show that slide.
It's there.
Yeah. Where is it?
It's coming. The thank you, you can see the thank you, and my name and number is there.
Okay, okay. Right. Friends, Harish, it was really a rich session. I can say, I can simply use the word rich in all sense. The areas you covered, you dealt, and the thinking habits and everything, with a lot of examples from sports field and business field. That was really one of the mind-blowing sessions and insights about thinking. Now, the only problem is that we already crossed 5:30. It is the time 5:32 now. So that no problem. I didn't get much questions also. I didn't want to stop your flow in between. So that I have only 2-3 questions because 7 o'clock we have the business seminar. So I think it's not fair on our side to take much more time now. Only 1 or 2 questions. There are a lot of compliments in the Q&A box about the session, but still I'm just actually putting 1 or 2 questions. Will you please name that furniture company and the founder once again? No, you unmute, Harish. Please unmute. Yeah.
From there.
Yeah. Now, okay.
Okay,
Yes.
now, can you listen to me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The name of the company is IKEA. 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 If I'm right, they have already come to India. I think they have started in Hyderabad, if I'm right. IKEA. IKEA. That's a furniture company. It was started by Ingvar Kamprad.
Okay. Harish, will you please stop sharing your screen?
Oh, sure. I will
So
do
you
that.
will come.
I will do that. Sorry. I will do that. Sorry.
No, for
Okay,
bigger
fine.
format. Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that is one thing. You were talking about the name of a book on thinking. Will you please tell the book that you influenced you once again?
Oh,
or some other books also if you have.
Correct. The book, as far as thinking, which I have read and I really got inspired, was a book called The Art of Thinking Clearly by Ralph Deboli. His name is Deboli. Deboli. And spelling may be slightly different, Deboli. Art of Thinking Clearly, which is available in Amazon and all other things. He has got other books also. Question book is another book that he has. He is a good author. He is a very clearly thinking kind of a writer. He has put this bias, nearly 101 bias he has put into that really stops us from thinking. It's a good book to read.
Okay. To what extent hereditary factors affect our thinking? Hereditary factors, will they affect our thinking, and according to you, to what extent?
To some extent, we always say that the diseases come from genes. Similarly, our thinking to some extent also come from genes. It might be there, but still, I think it is definitely repairable. It is definitely changeable. Whatever thinking I had before I joined Junior Chamber International, or even my first job, and how the way I think now are totally different. I believe that too much of emphasis need not be given to the genes, even though little bit of that is always there. But we can overcome that. We can polish that, and we will definitely be able to move forward. If we are in the right company, if we are reading right, if we are really thinking forward, definitely it is possible. That's what my take.
Final question of the day, Harish. Do you think that all the leaders think right?
It is not necessary that every leader thinks all the time right. There is nothing wrong in making mistakes. It is simply not possible for anyone to think right all the time. But the only question is, are you able to think most of the time? Are you able to think most of the time? Are you able to think the right decisions most of the time? That is what our challenge is all about. If we want to be 100% right all the time, we will never be able to take decisions. We will never be able to take risks. That is a reality.
Okay. Thank you, Harish. Participants, before you leave, I once again remind you, tomorrow we will have 2 sessions. 11:30 will be, the session will be handled by me. That is on the topic of power of giving. And afternoon, we will have a very excellent session. I'm confident about the topic and the content. That is, Here Comes the Bang by Himadri Sinha, one of the most popular corporate trainers that JCI India produced. He will lead you to the steps to go from being cool to being awesome. The morning session, what I'm going to handle will be mostly in English, and Himadri will also be doing the session both in English and Hindi in the afternoon. So get ready, my dear friends. So that is about tomorrow's program. I thank Harish Cochin, because it is almost like the name he got it, because we have some other PNP Harish also amongst us. That is why. So Harish Cochin for a wonderful show, a power-packed session on deep insights about thinking habits and styles and almost those things. Thank you, Harish. I thank the National President. Again, continuously he is present. So far, he never missed any 1 minute of even one session. This is the 12th webinar we are having. Thank you, National President. Yes, you think right. You think right. And I thank Vallabhji. Vallabhji also, the symbol, his presence itself is really an inspiration and motivation and a big energy to all of us. And he is one gentleman from whom all of us learn the lesson, how to think properly, even at the most difficult times in your life. That is what actually the living example, the epitome of such a thinking that we can cite to everybody in the world So Vallabhji and my national president of 1999, who very honestly I'm telling, who always corrected me and taught me when my thinking was going wrong in some way, he gave clear idea how to think properly. All the panelists, all the participants, thank you very much for this wonderful program. See you tomorrow. I will be at the role of the speaker tomorrow, and PNB Subramanian will be playing the role of the moderator tomorrow. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye-bye. Rakesh, you can end the meeting.